So the sponge is nicely fermented for the fennel brot.
Oh yeah. Very nice.
It's nice and spicy, isn't it? I like to mix my instant yeast in with my flours and just get it distributed completely. And I'm going to begin by putting most of my water, I hold off on about 10%, in the bottom of the mixer. And then I'll throw my flour in. Thanks. Salt. I'm going to put in some fennel seed. It'll give it a nice distinctive flavor. And I have some caramel color that I'm adding. I'm going to add my sponge. I like to add it in pieces so that it gets well distributed. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mix this for 3 minutes on low speed.
Isn't that pretty standard, 3 minutes pickup stage for 3 minutes?
Yes. And the dough's going to be pretty soft and sticky. I'm going to hold on to some extra, that additional 10% of water. So this is mixed for 3 minutes. Now I'm going to add the soaker to it.
Oh yeah, I see how nicely it pulls away from the side.
Mm-hmm. You see it has sort of that clay-like consistency, a little like Play-Doh.
Oops.
And I'll add all of the soaker. And it can all go in at once. There's not a lot of water left on the bottom, just a starchy slurry.
And it's a good sign. If as more water is absorbed by the soaker, as more weight we're going to add to the bread.
It also is going to enhance the texture. It'll help with fermentation, all sorts of benefits to producing a soaker. And it'll extend the shelf life just like those raisins will.
See, and again, the pre-soaked raisins are going to add a nice touch to the sweetness and the crunchiness of the soaker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I'm going to move this to second speed just to distribute the soaker throughout. Okay, so I have the multigrain distributed really well on here, and I'm going to put this back down to first speed and add these raisins, thank you, that have been macerating with the vinegar. And I'm going to add them just for another 2 minutes just to distribute it throughout the dough itself.
Now, the danger with the marinated or the preconditioned raisin is then when we overmix it that they break into a million pieces, which we don't really want to do because we want to keep the integrity of the raisins as they are.
Absolutely. We also have a little less gluten in here. We were talking about that dark rye flour before, so we don't want to overmix this dough anyway. It has a shorter mixing time than a lot of the other doughs we're working with. Half of the flour in here is rye flour, so it can't stand to have a very long fermentation period. So we mix it to a hotter temperature. We're going to warmer temperature than we would most of our other doughs. We're going to 83 degrees with this, and then we will give it a short fermentation period, about a half an hour. Otherwise, the gluten structure will just be too fragile if we let it go much longer, and we risk the dough collapsing on itself. One of the other things the vinegar and those raisins can do is it can control starch attack that can happen in a high rye dough. So sometimes you continue to have amylase activity after you've had gelatinization of starch. You can end up with a real gummy rye bread. That vinegar can help acidify some of that dough and help prevent that. That's why sourdoughs are so frequently paired with rye flours or doughs which have a lot of rye in it. It's really sort of, it's like clay, sticky.
Yeah, I can see it's very sticky. It was very sticky on my hands.
We're going to cover this with some plastic and we're going to give it a half an hour bench ferment.
Okay, tuck it in nicely, prevent it from drying out, creating an elephant skin. And here it goes, 30 minutes resting time.